You've watched Joe Rogan before, eh? You use one of these, you know, to get
Never used one of these before.
What have you got? You got the little power mic. Bring it real close into your face.
How's that?
Yeah, that's beautiful. So we'll get people complaining that we're too quiet.
Sweet.
Like I was the other day on Keep the Change. I was like, that episode was real quiet. And then I went back and listened to it. It was fine. So I think it was a me issue.
Oh, yeah. Bit like that, eh?
Yeah. No, it's funny. Ollie, you're in Taupō. You used to come up to Taupō. Now you're coming down to Taupō.
Yeah.
But you didn't even get to compete, mate.
No, I didn't, which was a bit of a shame. But, I mean, that's how it goes. Sometimes you can't control when you're not quite right to compete and you don't want to push it. You know, kind of bigger things coming up soon. So,
how far are we going to run?
21.
To the half.
Half, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about how bloody cold it was yesterday morning and this morning. But
I still got up to watch and it was bloody cold, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when you're running like that, you warm up pretty quick, eh?
Oh, I saw a few complaints, especially on the full marathon. Obviously, they're that little bit earlier, and
yeah.
I don't know. That's what we were discussing when we got into work. It's like, do you wear the gloves? Do you just hold on to your hands and hope for the best? Or
I always go for you start how you want to finish, eh?
Yeah,
I don't like carrying stuff around once you get into it.
One of the blokes talked about wearing a sockle jumper, and then of course you can take a gel with you.
Oh yeah.
I was like, it's not a bad idea, but then that chamois, it starts to get a bit stinky if you're running.
Yeah. See how that go wrong, eh?
Yeah. Have you got pockets in your tri-suit?
Mine personally, no, but I'm going to get a new one that does.
Yeah.
Because you need to carry a fair bit of stuff around when you...
Yeah, we had full marathon. Full Ironman, sorry.
When you're going all day, you need a bit of kit. Yeah.
Nice, Ollie. So, before now, we've exchanged a few messages on the DMs on Instagram. Tell us a little bit about who Ollie Ferguson is, mate.
Who am I? That's a good question, mate. I don't know. I suppose seeing on Instagram, you kind of get to see everything I'm sort of into, eh?
Yeah.
That's more or less my life. Pretty into my fitness, and a bit more recently, sort of that content creation stuff. Kind of trying to spread a bit of a positive message about, you know, giving stuff a go and having a crack and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's sort of what keeps me busy. Keeps me ticking.
Yeah. Where did it all begin?
I suppose with the fitness sort of stuff, I've always been into it, you know, doing team sports and that growing up. But really the sort of recent wave, I suppose, of triathlons and that sort of thing. Did my first half Ironman December last year, which was my first triathlon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd always wanted to do one growing up, but, you know, it was always I suppose you had to wait till you're 18 till you can do a half Ironman, and then it was you turn 18, I'll do it next year.
Yeah.
But
do you remember what inspired that?
Yeah, I was having to think about it the other day, actually. I remember I was at R&V one New Year's.
What a place to be inspired to do it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I suppose it was kind of a period of my life where a few things were changing. You know, I'd kind of got out of the first job I was in when I left school and kind of got into a bit of a more serious job. I was starting that once I got back from a New Year's holiday, and you know, a few things going on. I thought, remember like the New Year's countdown, I was thinking, you know, there's this sort of stuff I've always wanted to give a crack. You know, and I haven't. Another year's passed and I hadn't sort of done it.
How old were you then?
20.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like a midlife crisis or any of that sort of stuff, but it was sort of like a, you know, when you're 16, you have that sort of stuff, and you go, oh yeah, I'll do it one day, but then, you know, 4 years later and hadn't done any, and it's like, you know, why can't I do it now, sort of thing.
For sure.
Yeah. So I started to get into it.
Who was playing?
I can't remember. Nah.
You were elsewhere.
I was, yeah.
Unreal. So what was the job you were going to go into?
Working at Gilmore's in procurement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like buying and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really interesting, actually.
Yeah, no.
Really, really enjoyed it.
So there was like restaurants and supermarkets you would...
Yeah, so you work, Gilmore's is like a wholesale supermarket, and, you know, you're just, as a buyer, you're buying all the product from, you know, all the companies you see on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff doesn't just arrive.
No,
doesn't just spring out of nowhere. You know, someone's there placing the orders and all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes that I had no idea what was going on before I signed up, but had a good crew down there that taught me pretty well. So,
what's the sort of interface you use in there? Is it pretty in depth, or?
It is, yeah. It's SAP. I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah. I mean, when you start, it's pretty surface level, but when you start digging, keeps going and going. So, it's pretty good stuff. That.
Does it catch any errors, or you can still make a big stuff up?
Oh, I mean, it's all like, it will give you suggestion on like kind of which way you should be heading, but at the end of the day, it is all on you to kind of make those decisions, and you can go wrong.
Yeah. So with all this stuff, are you trying to have it written down so you can refer back to a reference, or the odd time you're having a conversation and punching in some numbers and hoping you got it right?
I mean, I suppose the beauty of the computer system is everything's like kind of recorded, eh?
Yeah.
Like, as far back as since when they first started using it, everything's just there to your disposal if you need to see it, eh? Which, you can always go back and kind of check what you're doing 2 weeks ago. You're making so many decisions, I suppose it's kind of hard to remember everything, but
yeah.
No, it certainly was a lot different than what I was doing in the past, but love it, eh?
So are you still with them, or you've left
I
them
am,
off?
but Gilmore's up in the North Shore in Auckland.
Yeah.
Well, I was down in Palmy.
Oh, that was good. Because went back through your care log, and you were sort of worried about that, leaving Palmy, going to Auckland, what do I do for a job? How did you did you just simply ask a question?
Yes and no. Like, I decided I was going to leave Palmy before I had a job sorted. But when I told, my boss and that down there in Palmy that I was leaving, they were really good, and they were like, oh, we'll introduce you to, there's 3 Gilmores up in Auckland, so, we'll introduce you to each of them, and you can have a convo with them and see how that goes. So I had a convo with all the owners of the 3 stores up there.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and then decided to go to the North Shore.
Yeah.
And yeah, started off in sort of a lower tier job, and I've already found my way up to being a buy again.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
What was that feeling like? Had that crossed your mind, like, oh, I could transfer this job?
I thought that was a possibility, but I didn't want to rely on it.
Yeah.
Like, you can always ask the question, but it's not like, oh, I'm guaranteed to, walk into the exact same job I'm in right now and, be top dog or anything like that,
So in hindsight, how's the process been?
In hindsight, it's been really smooth. It's been awesome, but it didn't feel like that at the time.
Yeah,
making that decision.
What was on your mind? Like, was it a confidence thing? What did you feel like?
Well, I loved my job down at Palmy.
Yeah,
and I told that to my boss at the time when I handed in my notice, and I got on real well with the team down there. I said to them, it's not me not liking the job. It's just Auckland's kind of
calling you.
Yeah, a bit more going on up there and some good opportunities and that. So I was really keen on that, but it was quite a big decision to leave that job because I really enjoyed it and I thought it was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's funny how you can work yourself up like that, and then you get introduced to three possibilities.
Yeah.
You had to what was taking that small steps back like? How did you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, ideally you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I knew it was necessary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I knew I kind of just had to get out of Palmy.
Yeah. You've
Almost,
been there your whole life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born and bred in there. Left when I was, I'm 21 now. Left when I was 21. I don't know, sort of a get out of your comfort zone thing, eh?
Yeah.
Go and experience and somewhere else. Yeah. Change things up a bit more going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Kind of knew I needed to do that, but yeah, it was kind of uncomfortable leaving a job I thought was a really good gig, really, eh?
So like that falls into the security part of sort of hierarchy of needs. It helps you to get the shelter, to get the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there must have been a weight off, at least knowing that you had a chance, 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah. That was
and that's the hardest thing about looking for jobs, is getting your foot in the door to actually have an interview and show yourself.
Definitely, yeah. I don't know, I sort of backed myself to be able to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
It was just what sort of job that would be, whether that would be like working in a cafe or bartender or anything, kind of like just to get a job,
mm-hmm.
or anywhere up to kind of the level I was already at.
Yeah.
I backed myself to get work, but it was good to get work that I was actually keen to pursue long term.
I guess the thing for anybody out there, like, training someone is so freaking expensive and so time consuming, and so if you've got skills, and like you can transfer it, fuck, you're most of the way there. Obviously they've got to have a position for you, but like a lot of the time people are looking for people that know what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's just whether or not they commit to bringing someone through that process. So when someone shows up on their doorstep with the skills already, they're like, oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, so I don't know, it kind of seems like in hindsight that's how things have kind of worked out, whereas I started at a pretty base level job,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't walk in and jump straight to the top. But worked hard on that, and then a month or so in, got a bit of a promotion, and then just tomorrow actually starting as a buyer.
Yeah.
So it's worked out pretty well.
So what was the draw card? What was the big carrot to, like, obviously it's New Zealand's biggest city. And when it comes to media and stuff, there's a lot of networks up there that are pretty valuable. I know definitely working in Taupō and even Taupō, at times it's hard to sort of create content of a interpersonal level. Yeah. Like it's always so much better doing it in person, but you've had to resort to the old Google Meet plenty of times just to make something. Yeah. Like, is that one of the things that's taking you up there?
Definitely. Yeah. A lot more. I think the way I kind of looked at it as a whole was there's just more people doing things that I was keen on doing.
Yeah.
Whether that's creating content or people into Ironmans and stuff. Just the nature of it. There's a lot more people in general, so there's a lot more people doing what I similar things to me. There's obviously a lot more people that aren't.
Yeah.
But, it's just the way it goes in a big city, I suppose.
Yeah, like even being here away from our home gym, we've sort of been trying to come up with things to do fitness-wise, and like been chucking the odd Les Mills up on there.
Yeah.
And you think about Victoria Street Les Mills, and it's just this gigantic community of people absolutely hustling for it. Like try to get a spot in a spin class is like got a gold ticket every bloody morning.
Yeah.
and then you got a mate, Paddy Davenport. He goes up there to the run club from Cambridge every now and again.
Oh yeah.
There's another guy that he runs a podcast too. He's a Les Mills instructor. He runs a run club. It's just stuff like that. You put it out there. Anyone want to come for an ocean dip in the middle of winter? You might get 30 people. It's good to see they're starting that here in Taupō.
Yeah.
And just those things like safety in numbers.
Yeah, it's true.
You can really drive a community, like, and within those community, as you say, there's people carrying a GoPro, carrying their cell phone, putting a lapel mic on, having a chat, having a yarn, and then you can cross pollinate that content. It's bloody awesome.
Yeah, it is good, And like you say, there's so much of that sort of stuff going on up there. When I first moved up, I had a bit of time, about 2 weeks off work. And I got to so many different run clubs and groups and all that. It's kind of died down a little bit, working the hours I do. Start work at 6 in the morning, go till 3:30. So lots of those run clubs are sort of early morning, but I've already been at work for an hour. So it was really good when I moved up there. Good way to meet people in that as well.
Yeah.
But so much of that stuff going on up there.
You have to start the afternoon run club.
Yeah, that'd be the go.
Yeah.
But you compare that to back in Palmy. There's one run club that I know of, which is really good. I always enjoyed going to that. That was kind of the extent of it.
Yeah. And if you missed it, you missed it. No other chance. Oh, cool, mate. You follow Huberman?
Somewhat,
not
massively.
No, I'm a bit like you, somewhat. But there's a concept of like Huberman dads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or Huberman lads. And I was thinking, this is how I found you. Old Luke Kemi's just got like sort of keep the change lads, I reckon, out there. How did you stumble across that content? What sort of drew you to it, and you reposted a bit and comment on it a bit?
Yeah.
Seeps into your content, which is cool. Another way to look at stuff. How did you find, the Palmy lad, of course?
Yeah. I remember back like sort of my first year of full time work. I was I've always been a saver and pretty conscious of my money and
that's
that.
Good.
But I was kind of wanted to learn a bit about it, not just I'll chuck it on a bank account and hopefully number go up, a bit more than that. So I was trying to learn a bit more about like what to do with my money. Gone into this my first time in full time work and kind of had more money than I ever had in my life, and I didn't want to piss it all down the drain.
Keep it on the hills and at R&V.
Yeah. Wanted to kind of learn a bit about how to deal with it. And I'd been watching a bit of stuff on YouTube, but all I could find was American stuff.
Yeah.
And it's good for like kind of the basics.
Yeah.
But I think the specifics are quite different. They talk a lot of stuff that isn't really relevant here, I think.
Yeah.
And I kind of just went into Spotify and searched up NZ financial education or something, and he popped up.
Yeah.
And I kind of got listening, and then find out he's gone to the same school that I went to, and grew up same sort of area, and you kind of like relate to that sort of stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I kept listening, really enjoyed it.
Nice. So you started from a place of having savings or that mindset?
Both, I suppose.
Both. Didn't go down the Q card route. Student loan route.
No, I didn't, thankfully.
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose. Like I say, I'd always been kind of saving money growing up, but kind of just wanted to learn a bit more about it, really, eh?
Yeah.
And then that kind of evolved over time. You learn the basics, and then I think his content seemed to kind of evolve as well, kind of going a bit more into mindset and that sort of stuff as well, which was really beneficial for me. I think kind of learning a bit about that sort of stuff at a young age was pretty cool.
Nice.
But no, it's been good actually. I've managed to catch up with him a few times up in Auckland. So
good. Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, I flicked him a message last year when I was going up for the marathon and kind of said, I'm keen to get into this podcast and content sort of stuff. I'd been doing it for a few months at that stage.
Yeah.
Could we catch up? And credit to him, he was real good and said to go out for breakfast and that. So pretty cool, I suppose, to get to catch up with someone that's kind of doing what you want to do, eh?
Yeah.
So
if you asked John, what would be the song you'd blast out?
That's a tough one, eh? I'd probably go for, there's a song, High Note. I don't know who it's by. It's a
drum bass one.
Yeah. And it's just when I'm on a run and I'm going for it, that's my go-to, eh? That one gets me through.
It might be Sigma. That springs to mind.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it's by, to be honest. I've just got a playlist called Fast Run.
Fast Run.
And if I'm running like to get a PB or something, I chuck that playlist on, and that's always the song that I chuck on cue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that gets me through the last minute of the 10K when you're trying to when you're really suffering, eh?
Stick it. Yeah. I've got two playlists. One's tunes, which started out final year of uni.
Oh yeah.
When I finally ditched Apple Music for Spotify.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
So there's a few mixed bags in there. Like there's a bit of Lord going on in tunes, which is quite funny. And then there's Powerhouse, which I started during COVID. When I started running during COVID. Yeah. Like many people. Yeah,
that's the way. Yeah.
In the back blocks of Hawke's Bay, running down some empty rural roads in the pitch black freezing cold.
True.
Yeah. Powerhouse comes on, so that I think that's about 400 songs deep these days.
Yeah.
But I'd love to play him some country just because he always gives it shit.
Oh really? Put
a Morgan Wallens or something, Luke Combs.
True. Yeah, that'd be good, eh? Get him out of his comfort zone a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. With moving and being a saver, how did it feel to, like, that's quite reassuring to be able to take 2 weeks off work, but how'd you feel to be burning a bit of savings?
I suppose it's the same as like the job sort of thing, eh? Like you're not pleased about it, but it's necessary, I suppose, eh? But I mean, I suppose when you're young people and you're saving up, people say, well, what are you saving for?
Yeah.
Like, you're saving to buy a car or, I don't know, buy a house or whatever. But the idea, I've always wanted to have my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like, I'd stack some cash. So when I'm in the position to be able to, I'm kind of able to launch something like that.
Nice.
And have a bit of a, nest egg behind you to kind of keep you afloat for a while, sort of thing. And I kind of saw moving to Auckland as part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of getting myself to, around people that are doing similar sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of saw it as, money well spent really in that regard, eh?
Mate, I wish I had your foresight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between the student loan and the student overdrafts and moving and all that sort of stuff, it's taken a long time to get that first step in the dream, and that's not without help. Like, I remember last year when Luke and James Blair had that podcast together, or that workshop webinar together, and then James offered sort of half hour financial health sessions, and he just said to me, he's like, mate, you're not going to get enough cash out of your house anytime soon. He's like, you need to find a business partner. And I'd already like missed out on an opportunity to purchase a practice, and so then I changed tack to join Specsavers, and I was like, right, I'll do their pathway program, which we've been doing over the last year. And then it's interesting, like you're saying, like the mindset and stuff. Like when you're in those lulls or you're trying to bang your head against the wall, find the way, just doing those other little steps that can help you along the way, so you're not stagnant. You're still moving forward, even though you're not reaching that point of where you want to go. It's awesome, and then you keep putting it out that's what you want to do, and something comes around. And I was just having a conversation with somebody else, and having a conversation with someone else, and then all of a sudden they said, "I think I've got the opportunity for you."
Yeah,
and now come October, start that journey.
True.
Yeah, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, mate. I think that's like you kind of touched on there, when you kind of always sort of keep plugging away and plug it away.
Yeah,
kind of eventually you'll find a way.
Yeah.
I think that sort of how I've been going about my stuff, sort of really with creating content and all that. You kind of keep just giving it a crack, and even if things kind of aren't going as well as you think they might or whatever, you kind of keep keep at it, try some different stuff, and
You're one for the quotes. Do you know the one there's no losing, there's only learning?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. Like, what are the lessons here? If I'm not reaching my idea of success, like that big picture thing, what are the little learnings or small wins that I can be doing day by day that still keep me going towards that? It's not as fast as I thought it would be or whatever, but if I just keep chipping away, touching on the right things, I'll get there. Is that sort of the...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like you say, you had to take a little backward step, with especially that first little while of moving to Auckland. You'll have all the establishment cost of getting there. As someone that's moved plenty, it takes a good year, 2 years to really build a community and start to create those friendships. Whereas, like you say, you've been in Palmerston North for 21 years, everything's familiar, everybody knows you, they know, this is where I can find Ollie. And you've probably got plenty of people down there in Palmerston North that that's where I can find so and so if I need them. Whereas you put yourself in a new place, as you say, you're out of your comfort zone, but you know that you're going to grow, and in 2 years you're going to have that community, and then like they always say, in 5 years, gosh, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Which I can't touch on because I've only stayed in places 2 years.
Yeah, it's always different, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, I suppose for me, growing up in Palmy, it's all I knew, eh?
Yeah.
And I think Palmy gets a bad rap, eh? Lots of people say, oh, it's no good, but I really liked growing up there, eh? Had real good mates. We've still got real good mates down there.
Yeah.
All my family's down there, and I think it's a good place. But I think for some of the stuff I want to get to, some of the places I want to go long term, it's probably better off being somewhere like Auckland, where it's kind of... I think the thing about Auckland that I like is, you kind of... You see a lot of the things that are possible around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the area I live in, like a bit of a weird...
You keep putting up that Porsche.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Kind of a weird example, and I know people will say it's a bit...
materialistic.
A bit materialistic or whatever, but I mean... I'll be honest, it's a car I want to own one day.
Yeah.
And quite often there's one parked outside my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at the most I have to walk 200 metres and I see one from my house, guaranteed. Whereas in Palmy, I'd be lucky to see one once every few months.
You'd see in Palmerston North the car that inspires me. That's those brand new Land Cruisers. There's a couple between here and Tokoroa, so that's one of the upsides of driving to Taupō each day is getting these Land Cruisers.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And then going past White, I can see in the black chopper there every now and again.
And
also flying across over here. That's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I think that's a pretty cool part about being in Auckland. I just kind of getting reminders of that sort of stuff. And, if there's so many people with that stuff, they've obviously found a way to do it.
That's right. It exists, it's possible. It is right there. Do you think, Invercargill is definitely a small pond. Most things, if I put enough effort into, I could get to close to the top level in Invercargill, and we got a little bit lucky that we'd go further afield. We'd go as far as Timaru and sort of create some population. It's still small sample size, but there was enough good people across that catchment to push ourselves.
Yeah,
but when we'd come up to Auckland and play half of Auckland in football, and they've got a whole team that's amazing.
Yeah.
And there are players that have got into that team, and you just go, wow. Looking at the Olympics last night, talking with my old man on the phone, it's what's the deal with Europe? And he was saying about how prior to World Cups, the European Championships used to be the big thing. Now he said it's probably more for the under 23s, but even so, it's just those touch points in time where you've been exposed to the best in the world.
Yeah.
And you know that, I've got to do this much more to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas here in New Zealand, we've been lucky that we've had these crews that are the best in the world. And so if you're getting over the line and the prognostic's not so good, but you're pipping the world champion, you know that actually it's because of the conditions and you've had a bloody good row.
Yeah.
And so you get over there with confidence and you get over there knowing that you're at the benchmark. But we get that in small doses, and we have to be careful about who we select and what crews we go with, because we want to maximise it so we have some money. But to go over there, you see the eights, Romanian 8, just constantly like, we're the best. It's just that exposure and that knowing where you're at is awesome. Same for my stepdaughter being like, why are Australia so good at swimming? And like, think about Australia, like the whole coastline is where the cities are. They're massive cities. Yeah. They've all got pools, all the schools got pools. And so they just have all these squads, all these swimmers, all these carnivals where people are absolutely crushing it, all these training squads where you're training with someone that's awesome, and so you know that I've got to stay on their toes and be awesome. It's unreal, eh?
Yeah, I think that kind of relate that to cricket, eh? I played a lot of cricket growing up, and I was lucky enough to kind of travel over to Aussie and South Africa with my school team.
Yeah, nice.
And you play some young kids over there, and they're just next level way. But you think about it, and their conditions in Aussie and South Africa, they get sun all year round. They're playing cricket. There's probably like 3 months of the year they're not playing cricket.
Yeah.
You compare that to here, or even down in Palmy, Season starts in October, but it's raining every weekend. Yeah. Season only really starts mid-November.
Yeah.
And then, it's raining every now and then. Whereas over there it's just sun full blast, most of the year. So they're getting a lot of cricket,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all,
So a lot of network.
Yeah.
Nets work.
Yeah. But, this, I suppose those kids growing up with that opportunity to, be playing all year round almost.
How big is it being able to play shots to fields? Like, obviously, in the nets he can go through the shots, but to be able to play to a bowler and play to a field, it's just massive. And to have all those reps in, like you say,
it is
Saturday or even weekend after weekend, not even just Saturday, weekend after weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best at speaking. I never went too far for my cricket or, batted. I was more of a bowler growing up, but, I never played at a particularly high level. But, I mean, I definitely see that, eh?
Yeah.
You're batting in the nets, you can say, I crunched that shot.
Yeah.
And, you do it 10 times out of 10. But, I mean, you put a fielder there and a proper bowler and, you play on a proper pitch and it starts doing a bit.
Yeah.
It's a completely different ball game, eh?
It was the same for bowling as well, eh? Like, hit that block hole. Then you get a batsman who turns it away, the scoreboard pressure starts mounting, and all of a sudden that feeling that you had, it's just 10 deliveries after 10 deliveries, it's gone, because the scoreboard's ticking away and the ball's getting older, the fielders are getting tired.
So I mean, that goes back to the point before, like you can do all the work in the nets you want, but those kids growing up over there getting to play, they play like 2 or 3 games a week, some of them, and they do that like 3/4 of the year for most of their life. You can see why Aussie, generates some bloody good cricketers, eh?
Absolutely. So, what was the dream at high school? I saw you gave rugby away at 14. Like, what was that about?
I don't know. Just like every 5-year-old, everyone wants to be an All Black when they grow up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was never really good at rugby.
Yeah.
Like it was just a young New Zealand kid's dream wants to be an All Black, but I don't know. Never played anything beyond like just for my mates.
Yeah.
Pretty social. Kind of got to 14 and you're intermediate and you think you're alright and you go to high school and you're like
especially Palmy boys,
and I was this little stick, and there's all these big kids and you're looking up and they're like they already look like adults.
Well, how many teams are there in junior school at Palmerston North?
Like 15 or 15. something like that. I don't know, some crazy amount. But I was in like the 4th team or something in year 9, 5th maybe. And it's kind of, you see, I suppose it's like every step of the way, eh? Like, you're in the best team in your little area, and then you go out a bit and you realise, there's actually so many teams. And then, then you go for like a rep tournament or something, and you play all these teams from Wellington and whatever, and you see, there's all these kids I didn't even know existed, and they're bloody good. And, the older you get and the more you kind of go out, you see how much competition there is, sort of.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was never really a serious goal to, do rugby properly. It was obviously just, when I was real young, every kid wants to be an All Black,
Did you have any moment of like elite mindset?
No.
Nah.
It was just, I just loved it when I was little.
Yeah.
Just rugby mad. Always watching the games, just lived and breathed it. But I was never like, never like I'd take it seriously.
Yeah. So before that moment at New Year's, had you been watching YouTube stuff already or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing lots of stuff. I don't know. I kind of always had been keen on that sort of stuff, whether that's like, developing your mindset or, training hard or whatever. I'd always been keen on it and kind of like, flirting with it. You do like, you do it for a bit and then you kind of not be consistent in that. And I think also people like that see my Instagram and stuff, they'd often say, oh, that's not the Ollie we know, or that's not what you were like when you're younger. But I kind of struggle with that because I think it was. Okay, it was just like behind closed doors, or like I wasn't like going around talking about it or something. And it was quite different when you start posting it on Instagram for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that was actually quite good because it made me kind of live it.
Yeah.
And like don't be ashamed of it. It's cool to.
So how did it look like before the Instagram page?
How did what look? Sorry.
The mindset or like the process driven thoughts and stuff like that?
Oh, I mean, the Instagram came a little bit after I started doing the Ironman sort of stuff. So I was kind of already pretty into that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wasn't doing the Ironman, I would, and I was talking about that stuff, I would be preaching bullshit,
Yeah.
So it was kind of once I actually, kind of got into it, been doing it for 6 months or so, and you kind of start getting some good results and see, when I put in the hard work and I don't just throw in the towel after a little bit, you can actually
keep going.
Yeah.
Did you have a book or a video or anything that showed up?
Like what? You mean one sort of thing that sort of...
Like I was competitive swimmer from like 8.
Yeah.
And I think around like... I think it was after I'd gone to juniors again. So I was probably about 12 or 13. One Christmas, my granddad gave me the Winner's Bible.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I put a photo of Michael Klim, as a speedo ad, standing on the bottom of the pool and his head underneath the lane rope, because I think Michael Klim's about 2 meters tall.
Yeah.
Put that on the front and wrote all these. They were quite kind of like affirmation type vibes. So that was about 12 or 13. And then around a similar time, we got really lucky in Southland. We had a football coach come out from Sunderland who'd been in the Sunderland Academy.
Yeah.
And just, again, like one of those people that just change your whole outlook on life. Like, down south, we just had a kick and hope.
Yeah.
And this guy was teaching us how to play up from the back. Mantras like, lads, we want you to look good, feel good, play good. It just mindset around football and life and professionalism that just didn't exist.
Yeah.
And you're just like, holy cow, this is what's possible, and having him for sort of basically my whole high school, to just mentor. It was in football, but in life and personality, it was just unreal.
Yeah.
And then, reading things like the Beckham biographies, reading Lance Armstrong biographies. And there was always sort of rowing books around my house and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, people like Nathan Cohen going to World Juniors and winning, Storm Murray doing the same, Jane Uru, who I played water polo with. Just that like environment. Eddie Dawkins started going good in cycling, and that environment. They were individual sports, but like team sports as well. But like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's interesting how like you look back and you're like, what the hell do I think like that? Because like, like listening to Luke, you hear him say stuff and you're like, oh yeah, I think like that.
Yeah. When you put it like that, I think probably starting high school at Palmy Boys was pretty big for that.
Yeah.
Like
I've interviewed a few Palmy old boys, and it sounds like mindset is very hit home, and I'm sure people have variations of that story. It's a big school, there's a lot of kids, but the ones that have crossed my path have a very clear, like, we can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I suppose sort of when I got to Palmy Boys, it was sort of my first taste of seeing some guys that were achieving some pretty big stuff. Like before that, you're kind of just playing junior sport and that sort of stuff. But, you're year 9 at Palmy Boys and you've got these year 13s that are winning world championships, and going out and playing for the New Zealand. I had the captain of the New Zealand secondary schools, was year 13 when I was year 9.
Nice.
And just seeing stuff like that, And then, you're in assembly and you hear, your so-and-so's done this, done that, and you think that's pretty cool. But then, you arrive to school and you see they're in the gym. And then at lunchtime, you see they're in the gym.
Yeah.
And then, you walk into a classroom or something and they're sitting there writing notes, or, you kind of see what actually goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you hear their name in assembly every day. And, they've done this, they've done that, and, they're achieving all this stuff. But when you actually get to see kind of the behind the scenes of, these guys that are achieving that stuff, they're not just talented, they're actually put in the hard yards.
Was end of year pros going a whole school affair or junior and senior school?
Before COVID, it was all together.
Yeah.
But kind of got split up my last year of school.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was first year of COVID. It was my last year of school.
Niggly.
Yeah. Which is a bit rough, but I mean, what can you do,
So, yeah, that'd be unreal. Was there quite a lot of like high performance crossover, like that get some sports awards and then they get academic awards too?
A few guys. But, most of what I saw, like the guys that were doing really big stuff in the sports, that was just their life, hey? Yeah. Lots of them, to be fair, a few of them were, pretty good in the academic stuff, but most of the guys that were all in on the sports, they were all in on the sport, Like they were just going for it. And it shows, quite a few of them I think about. Ruben Love's one, just made the All Black squad. And here's one of those guys that, like, you're at school and you just see him training the house down, Absolutely training the house down.
Yeah.
And everyone sees it. And it's like, back then you think, oh, it's cool. But you'd hear some people say, but what's, you might play for the Turbos or something.
I wonder how many people said about Ruben, like, oh, yeah, well, your parents, and it's like, well, fuck, who cares?
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose when you see that sort of stuff anyway, like, that's what I think is like, they can say what they want, but, I saw... I would have seen 1% of what he was doing. But, he was a big cricket guy as well. And
I was about to say that Black Flash this year where he took that catch out, but the dive, holy shit.
Yeah. And, I got really into cricket at high school, and he was just one of those guys in the summer, you just see him just working so hard, and then he was also doing the same with rugby. And I mean, look where it's got him,
Yeah, it's pretty unreal.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
But yeah, I think, being at a school like that's pretty cool. You kind of, like I say, get to see that sort of high performance stuff going on.
Yeah. And
kind of, what it takes to do that sort of thing. And, I kind of had like little bursts of that, I suppose. I was never obviously going to that sort of level.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, I think of me with cricket. I was year 9 and I was in the top year 9 team, but I was rubbish, I don't know how I made the team. And then there's this talk of this cricket tour, it's when I was year 11, and I actually remember quite vividly thinking, if I don't really give this a crack, there's no chance I'm making that squad, because I'm just, I'm like the last picked in the year 9 team, and it's like a first 11 development tour or whatever, I got to be one of the top 20 guys in the school to go, not just the last picked in the year 9 team, so I kind of had a few years where I really went hard at cricket, and I saw some pretty big changes in like what I was able to do there, like, kind of just over the course of one winter just kind of turned from this useless bowler who's just bowling 5 wides and over into, someone who had some good consistency and could do a bit.
Do you remember what they looked like in the micro?
Yeah, just get home from school, chuck my bags down and go in the backyard and start bowling. Yeah, and then, looking up YouTube videos and seeing, I want to develop my out swinger, and then, going looking at YouTube and watching these guys that are doing it, and, watching tutorials and how can I do this and that, and then every day I was just in the backyard, just, bowling to this, had like a cricket pitch set up in my backyard and had like this area taped out, get told by my coach that I'm just bowling too short all the time, so you put this, bit of tape on a good length and, bowl till I hitting that 20 times in a row.
Fuck yeah.
And when I started, I was, spraying it there, doing all sorts, and then kind of, eventually got really honed in on that. That was cool, kind of started to do pretty well in the cricket.
Do you remember what your parents thought of that? Like, how did the setup process go? Did you just do it and ask for forgiveness, or did you say, Mum, Dad, I want to set up?
No, I just did it.
Just did it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a major, you just had a wheelie bin with some stumps on it at one end and put some tape in the grass. I probably ruined the lawn, in the middle of the winter, and it's like it's all wet and I'm out there bowling. Not exactly ideal. You get your big front foots just sliding in the mud. But, what can you do? I suppose I've always been lucky. My parents were really supportive. They'd probably just be pretty keen to see that I was just given something to crack at.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but eventually made that sort of that cricket tour, which I was really big on. I think in a way was kind of a limiter, because I was like, I got to make this cricket tour. I got to make this cricket tour. And then I made it, and then cricket kind of died after that day.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think if I think just the work ethic I had at the time, like what I think I have now, that if I kind of had higher goals, I could have achieved more. Like I never really went on to even play first 11 after that day. Played like 3 years of seconds, and like I don't know. I think I was so focused on making the cricket tour that once I got there, I kind of just let it go.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I made it.
You did it.
And then you go over to South Africa and Australia, have this awesome experience, but then you get back and you kind of, what's the next thing? Yeah, put it on the back burner sort of. Which in hindsight, if I continue that work ethic, I could have, had some. I don't think I would have ever been a professional cricketer or anything, but still had some good success within the game.
It is awesome to have little proofs like that.
Yeah.
Like, my final year of uni, in the summer before, I'd been down to Southland and played sevens, played in the qualifying tournament for Southland, and then I was non-travelling reserve for the team, and I was yarning to a rugby manager down there. I was like, well, what do you reckon I should do? And he was like, if you can put on 10 kgs and stay the same fitness and speed, you'll be in with the chance. He's like, so I'd recommend, like, obviously eat a shit ton, lift a shitload of weights, and this is the fitness program that I gave Jason Rutledge, the Stags hooker.
Yeah.
And anybody that remembers Jason Rutledge, he'd be there in the 80th minute, holding people up over the trial. I think that was against Counties, maintain the shield. But yeah, like, just do that. This is what a hooker can do for fitness.
Yeah.
And then he also, because I was playing in the backs, he's like, go play flanker. And yeah, that was the best year. I did that, put on 10 kgs, still managed to run like a 13.6 beep test, but ended up in the same result, non-travelling reserve. I was fuck. But just like, again, that little pocket. So then the following year, when I started work, I didn't play the 15 season, started playing the 7 season, and because I had this experience, I like contacted the Canterbury coach and got in the squad, and sure enough, again, I was non-travelling reserve, but got in a bigger system to just like have that little proof, like, that was, if you put in that period of work, you can achieve, but like you were saying, sometimes you feel like, oh, I probably shouldn't be here. How the hell did I get here?
Yeah, that's what I was like.
But at the same time, it, like you obviously showed something that people took notice of it, and like you got so much further than you thought was ever possible. And even you look back on it, like, how was that possible?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, when you kind of think of it in hindsight like that, I remember kind of me in year 9, the cricketer that I was.
Yeah.
I had no business making a tour overseas with the school.
Yeah.
Just was nowhere near it.
It's unreal.
And then, it probably didn't go the way I wanted results wise, but I think that was, like I say, kind of let the foot off the gas once I made it, which, in hindsight, you like to say you keep pushing on, but even getting to that stage alone was kind of a real big tick in the box of, you work hard, you can kind of get there.
Yeah.
And I never really pursued cricket after that, but I still had that kind of that knowledge that, if I pushed it at something, I could really get some good results out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was your half Ironman this year or end of last year?
End of last year.
End of last year.
Yeah.
So did you have any benchmarks of, like, I saw you talking about your training and like especially the swimming, but then the cycling was not too bad. Had you done cycling or?
I'd done one actual cycle in terms of like an event.
Yeah.
That was like an event we did at school, which is called Crest to Crest.
Yeah.
So it's the crest of Mount Ruapehu to the crest of the school.
Yeah.
So it's over 5 days. You've got the first day's like a 24k mountain run.
Yeah.
Next day's like a 70k mountain bike, then a few hours on the Wanganui River. Yeah. And the next day's like a full 12-hour day on the river or something like that. And then 170k road cycle was the fourth day from Awakuni to Fielding.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that area at all.
Only from looking down on it.
Yeah. And then last day is running from Fielding to Palmy, which is 21k. Yeah, so that road cycle of 170k plus the sort of 3 months of summer leading up to that was kind of all the cycling I'd done. Yeah. that's quite a cool event at the school. They do every year.
I've heard about this. And I'm like, that is. No wonder Palmy Boys put out some good people if that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's probably a group of 20, 25 year 13s each year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that sort of summer of training for that event was kind of the only road cycling experience I'd had. Yeah. Running, I used to just do running just for fitness, for team, for cricket and whatever. But I was never a runner, I suppose. But I'd done a bit of running training. But swimming, no, useless, useless. Yeah. But
so where'd you get your aspiring time from? What was the cutoff for the swim?
The cutoff for the swim was an hour 10.
Okay. Yeah.
So my first goal was to beat that.
Yeah.
Which, if I don't beat the cutoff, I can't finish the race. Yeah. So that was kind of my first goal. My training was to get the 1900 metres under an hour 10, which took me about 2 months from not being able to swim 50 metres to doing 1900 in about an hour 6.
Yeah. So was that the first time you did 1900? You beat it the time.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a good one.
It is. But any swimmers will know that an hour 6 for 1900 metres it's like crawling. It's a really slow pace. But I mean, for me, it's where I was at.
As you said, 50 metres was a struggle.
Yeah, I got to the other end and I was spitting out water and I was choking like it was like just useless swimmer. And then in the actual race I did 40 minutes.
Lovely.
Yeah. So.
You did it like the pros do the Ironman.
Nah, nothing like that. They're doing
the Ironman.
They're doing. Oh yeah, they're full Ironman for my half Ironman time.
Yeah.
The sort of pros. I think they're at about a 21 minute swim.
Yeah.
I mean, some guys will correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it is about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I did 40 minutes. But I mean, from probably like 7 months, I went from an hour 6 to 40 minutes.
And then you had to swim out there.
Out there rather than in a nice pool.
I've swum out there. It's scary.
Yeah. Rather than, the nice pool back home at the leader. It's just, you're following the black line. Yeah. Turn around when you get to the end. But, you go out there and, different beast, eh?
Did you see the lake we got up? Had lots of people say, what lake we eat? I'm like, it's right in your face.
Yeah, yeah. No, out sort of in the area where you're swimming, it's 15 metres deep.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's like right there, eh? I think you even touch it a couple of points, you do a bit of a stroke and you get a fistful or something, but...
Get scared of the monsters below that aren't there.
Yeah. But I mean, what can you do, eh?
Yeah. Because that is most of it with the swimming is the breathing.
Yeah.
And like how... It's ironic, eh? Like how relaxed you can be to swim faster.
Yeah. That was completely backwards for me, eh? When I started learning, I was like, I've just got to move my arms faster and just, go for it and just... But nah. As soon as I realised you got to relax, I started just dropping the time
feel the water, get the key, kick going, control your breath.
Yeah. And
then you go faster. It's like, this is backwards.
Yeah.
Could be worse, could be wrong, and you're literally going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I suppose back to what you were saying, how did I get my target time? I kind of added up what I thought how long it would take me to do each of the segments.
Yeah. And
added a bit extra because I thought, probably
on the day.
Yeah. So I was aiming for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I went 5:37.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to be fair, I had nothing to base it off. So maybe 5:40 was a good goal. I don't know. But yeah, first triathlon ever done. So I had nothing to base it off. Sort of where I'd be. How long would I take in the transition? I'd never done a transition before. So,
So you didn't go and do like a sprint distance or Olympic distance just to
no, I didn't
go from that bike to the run and go, holy shit, how do you move your legs again?
Yeah, I done a bit of training, when you get off, when you get out of the pool and jump on the bike, or get off the bike and
go for a
run. So I've done some training like that, but I'd never actually done a race.
Yeah,
bar the Wheat Bix triathlon.
Yeah,
that was my only sort of experience in that. Back at like 10 years old or however old you are when you do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, did a bit of that training, sort of that brick stuff where you get out of the pool and get on your bike. But apart from that, nothing really.
That's cool.
Cold turkey, but
it's good. So how did it feel getting over that line? How long were you training? 7 months.
No, almost like 11 months.
11 months.
Yeah, which in hindsight didn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
I kind of started training so early just because I knew I had a long way to go with the swim. So for the first few months, I was pretty much just swimming and cycling and continued gym work, which I was already doing. I didn't start running for a while because I knew I kind of had a bit of history being able to run that sort of stuff pretty comfortably.
And a lot of the fitness base is coming through. I know, like you're talking about running cross country at school.
Yeah.
I was never a runner, but because I had such a good base, I was playing football, so
I
was running. But you know, I could go onto a cross country course and do pretty well.
Yeah. You know, I was sort of the same, eh? But yeah, I suppose 11 months of training, all up. But yeah, when you finish that, eh? I mean, I've talked about it quite a lot, but I think you kind of see that that sort of stuff is possible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know, I worked pretty hard, but I got there, you know, put in the hard yards and you tick it off, you know, what could I do next? You know,
it's just cool, like you're saying about that cricket analogy, reach the goal and then it all went by the wayside. What do you think changed within your mindset in your life that, like, what's next? How can I compound this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't really know what changed, I suppose. Maybe you know, back then I was 15, you know, now, you know, 21 when I finished that. I think, I don't know, grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you know, consumed a whole lot more of that sort of, you know, stuff on podcasts and YouTube and that, all learning about your mindset and all that sort of stuff. I suppose just as a whole, I was in a better position to be able to kind of, you know, actually see what I'd achieved. I think with the cricket sort of thing, I only really look back now and see that. At the time, I think it was just exciting, you know. Oh, cool, I made the team.
Part of school.
Yeah, but it wasn't like you know, kind of looking back on the journey of, you know, where I came from and where I got to, sort of thing. Yeah. But I think, I don't know, growing up a bit, I kind of had a bit of foresight to realise that, you know, that's sort of what the journey I'd gone on to kind of achieve that. Yeah. And yeah, you know, you kind of, I think even the swimming thing was a big thing, you know, seeing that, you know, 10 months ago I couldn't swim, and, you know, I just finished a half Ironman, which a lot of people would like to do, but, you know, lots of people kind of see it as something that's not attainable. Yeah. Yeah, so
how did you get over the gear, like especially a bike?
Yeah, I mean, when I started out, I just bought a bike off one of my mates for like $500, nothing flash, but just good enough to do some training. I ended up buying a different bike not long before the event, which is still nothing flash, you know, around $1,000 worth, you know, compared to what you can spend on some of the bikes. Oh yeah, it's pretty small. I
do walk around the chicken the day before and look at the bikes and just go, holy cow, these are amazing.
Yeah, I did that. Had a bit of a gaze. You see some pretty cool stuff out there. Yeah. And I mean, I've got a bit of a higher spec bike these days. Still nothing, you know, compared to those top guys, but, you know, worlds better than what I was on back then. You know, it makes you feel like you're flying with me, you know, compared to if I jump back on my old bike. But yeah, I don't know. I did a little bit of research, but I think that's what a lot of people get caught up on. Is like, oh, you know, what bike do I need? And that's not really what matters.
You need to be able to bike.
Yeah, you need to get on the bike.
Yeah.
Whether it's a $500 bike or a $5,000 bike, you need to get on the bike.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what bike you have. You know, you can complete an Ironman on a pretty minimal budget. You know, my first wetsuit was just a cheap one I brought off Trade Me. Still a swimming wetsuit, but you know, that was like $100 or something. Got like a $50 tri-suit off Trade Me. Yeah. Got like a $500 bike. You know, still not cheap, but compared to what you could spend.
Yeah. It's all relative.
Yeah. And, you know, you kind of, if you want to do that sort of stuff, it's kind of, you got to be willing to sort of put that money into it. But yeah, I just think a lot of people get caught up on that, you know, what shoes do I need, what tri-suit do I need, all that sort of stuff. And, I mean, maybe you want to look more into that when you get kind of closer to your first event, but, you know, 10 months out, that's not the issue, eh?
No.
The issue is that you get in the pool or jump on your bike or whatever it is, eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
Do you remember how he came onto your algorithm?
Nah, not really, eh? I think...
Yeah, I saw he's ditched the sunglasses.
Yeah, which is different for him.
Because I don't follow him, I just know who he is.
Yeah, I don't really follow him so much anymore. Like, his new stuff's pretty few and far between these days compared to the old daily stuff he was doing.
Wow,
but,
yeah.
I don't know, I think the algorithm was...
He was the original vlogger, eh?
Yeah.
Like, this is my day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was sort of, as far as I'm aware, kind of the main guy that was sort of leading that charge, eh?
How I know about him is one of the early guests, Dan Thompson, who I played rugby with in Dunedin. He's him and his brother got a brand called Circuit Band, which is a like elastic band thing, and they got Casey to use it
Real.
Just in his office, that's where you can do. You just link it up and do all these movements with this resistance band. And yeah, Casey was one of the first
True.
big get it out there type things.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good, eh?
Yeah. Back in the sunglass days.
Yeah. I think the algorithm was quite different. Sort of back then, that would have been 2015 sort of time.
Yeah.
I would have been only year 8 back then. What's that 13 years old, 14 years old.
Shouldn't have actually been on YouTube.
Nah, shouldn't have been. Probably had an account that said I was 18 or some shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think you're allowed 16.
Whatever it was, yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how I kind of came across it, but at the start it was pretty surface level. I always really liked New York. And he was putting out vlogs that was showing you around New York, and he was doing some interesting stuff, and going for these runs around New York, and putting up his drone and showing some pretty cool stuff. So I kind of like the cinematography thing behind it. I always liked making videos when I was younger. I was always making iMovies of me and my mates, playing soccer in the backyard or whatever we were doing, kind of, chucking stuff together.
On phones or on iPads? Or
iPads, yeah. iPads, computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing it at school and all that sort of stuff. Which kind of, in hindsight, sort of some of the skills I got now with the video editing and stuff kind of comes from that, eh?
Yeah, because I get plenty of kids. I'm like, what do you want to do? And they're like, YouTuber.
Yeah.
And the other time we'll be like, what videos are you making now? And what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And same with gamers. I'm like, well, what do you play? And like, are you on Twitch, or are you just watching Twitch?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is a big thing, eh? Kind of actually, doing that sort of stuff, not just, talking about it or whatever.
Yeah. That's cool and aspirational. Like, well, if you want to do it, you better you realise those people have been doing it. They've already got a head start. They've already started.
Yeah.
Yeah. That millions of followers didn't come from a million. It came from one.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of it all starts somewhere, eh?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. When I was young, just even at school, I was able to. They were quite big on that sort of stuff. The primary school I went to, and that we're always just tinkering on the computers and that, learning some cool skills. So
yeah,
that was quite lucky, I suppose.
So you're actually doing skills, not just playing, because you hear plenty of them doing. They think they're doing coding, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm playing Minecraft. I'm like,
no, I was never doing coding or anything like that.
Yeah,
nothing like that. But for example, you do the school production, and there's all the big stuff on the projector behind. I remember I did all of that sort of stuff.
Nice.
Creating the hour-long movie that's playing in the background and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really basic. If you look at it now, you think it looks pretty useless, but it's all just learning those skills, eh?
It is, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. Which I always liked making videos, and I always kind of looked at what Casey was doing, for example, and sort of I want to do that one day.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I didn't just learn that from nowhere.
Nah.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Was your current account, was that anything before, or
Nah.
Nah.
It started as that. So
Yeah.
I've got a personal Instagram.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just separate them.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted the followers of that account to be people that were quite keen on that stuff.
Yeah.
And naturally, as more people have found out about it, it's people that know me have following it just because it's me.
Yeah.
But the large majority of my followers are people that are following it just because they like that sort of content.
Yeah.
Which is always the goal.
Yeah, I've got the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although my personal account kind of turned into the hunting book.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I keep them pretty separate. But every now and then I chuck something, just on my story of my main one, share my other one.
Yeah.
Just people want to see it, they can see it.
Are you on TikTok?
Nah.
No.
I don't really like it, eh?
It's a sync. It's weird, eh?
Yeah.
I just kind of cross post. And
Yeah.
then I end up watching farmers. It's quite good.
Yeah.
A couple of dairy farmers around the place that share good stuff, and
yeah,
it gives me good things to talk about to my patients.
Oh, it's true.
Keep up with the cycle of dairy farming.
Oh yeah, yeah, that would be good.
I heard testing at the moment.
Yeah. I was kind of cross posting for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just found the TikTok audience wasn't really for me, eh?
Yeah.
You just get all these people who are just commenting absolute rubbish. They don't care. They're just, I don't know. You try to spread this message or whatever, and they'll just pick some random thing out of the video and just there'll be all these people commenting just stupid shit, and it's it's cool that people commenting kind of feeds the algorithm, and gets it out there, but I don't know, from what I experienced, the people that I kind of wanted to be targeting weren't really on TikTok, eh?
Yeah.
TikTok was more just kind of people just going for a scroll and
Have you got much interaction on YouTube?
I haven't been on YouTube
at all.
Done it yet? Nah, which I do want to. But I mean, at the moment, I haven't really got the time, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's full ball.
Yeah.
People don't realise.
Yeah. I mean, between like sort of, working full time, training for an Ironman, and, posting content every day.
Yeah.
Haven't got too much spare time to kind of jump on YouTube, eh?
Well, that's the same if anyone's regular to the podcast. I'll notice these things haven't been out for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's just because I've been too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been productive. I hate the word busy. Yeah. I've been productive. It just hasn't been producing
this
interviewed podcasts. Nah.
Yeah. That's how it goes, eh?
Oh, for sure. Like it's especially compared to back to Dan, ironically. He caught an email that I'd sent him last year. It must have gone to a spam folder or something. And it was about where the podcast was at. That was like doing an interview every week, having big game records out, sponsors, like talking to Between Two Beers and stuff like that. And it was like the opportunity back then was like quite nice, but I've just sort of like let it sit this year.
Yeah,
because I've been trying to do other things. Focusing on big picture goals, but it's been good.
Yeah. But I mean, that's sort of what I think about it all the time, mate, is like kind of like managing those different things. And I think most people only have like, a certain amount of energy and time you can commit to that sort of stuff, eh? And like you say, if you're sort of going through that, I don't know too much about it, but that Specsavers pathway and that sort of thing, I imagine that takes a bit of your time.
Yeah.
If you want to sort of, get on the path, that sort of stuff, something's got to give.
Yeah. And so I was sort of doing two things, because I was on the Specsavers pathway, and then I was doing due diligence on the practice that I've got. Yeah. Which is independent, and so it's like, whoa. one was helping the other, thankfully, but it was just still like weird. That's funny. I was saying the other week, like, I reckon I could be a lawyer now. Definitely don't want to be a lawyer now. Yeah. Holy cow, what a job.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool though. When you start kind of getting into those different sort of stuff, you kind of learn so many different skills. Oh yeah. And then those skills all sort of end up crossing over in weird ways you never would have imagined, eh? Yeah. It's what I've found anyway.
Well, it's incredible. I took sixth form accounting. Yeah. I hadn't done fifth form, and or was it year 12 accounting, and then I didn't do it in year 13, but that 1 year of busting my ass, like trying to figure out what this all meant, like it's come around so handy. Yeah. And back then, it was just a subject you're doing at school. Yeah, it was like because I had like a spare subject to fill, and I was like, and someone said, oh, well, accounting's pretty useful. Yeah, is it?
Yeah, and I know. I think people often probably don't even realise those skills they've got. Yeah, like I was pretty useless at the video editing when I started, but I still knew how to use the software, Yeah. And that was from, me at 10 years old just having a go on the computers at school and that.
So what software was that? Adobe?
So back then it was just iMovie. Yeah. But yeah, now I'm all on Adobe, which is Premiere Pro.
Which, if anyone's ever opened Adobe with no idea, you go, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's just, you've just got no idea what you're looking at today if you don't know. Which I was kind of like when I started, but I mean, had a little bit of experience doing some other stuff. So
and it's amazing, like when you sit down and you bring out the program and you go, fuck, how do I use this? And the time and place that we're in. Then you go up, load YouTube, and you go basics for Premiere. Where it comes. Yeah. And then you go, you play around with it a bit, and you make an average video. And then you're like, well, and then you try and do something and you can't do it, and you can't find the button or the input, and then so then you go and Google that more specifically, and then you get a whole range of videos, and then you go, oh, that's how I do it, and then you do it. Yeah,
no, that's exactly how I learned too. Yeah. Lots of people always ask me how I learned, like, oh, is there a course you followed or something? Yeah. And I mean, for some skills that's good, that works. But I think for a lot of stuff, just get in and give it a go. Like you say, watch that. I think that's what I sort of did, is watch that, Adobe for Beginners video or whatever. Yeah. And then I made some really shitty videos for a while, and you kind of just, you learn by doing. And I've still got those videos on my page. I haven't deleted a single post that I've made. Nice. Because I say every now and then I think it's quite cool. I mean, anyone can go back and look at them, and they can see how average they were at the start, how average my editing was, and me speaking to the camera, and I was rushing and I was nervous and all sorts. And you compare that to what I'm doing today. I mean, it's by no means top tier, but it's a long way from where I've started.
That was what was so good the other day. Luke did his podcast with his iPhone.
Yeah, I heard that one.
So I did took until COVID for me to get a USB microphone.
Yeah.
And that was, what was that? When was that? 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 years deep.
True.
Everything else to be done on a iPhone jack.
Yeah.
Microphone.
It doesn't need to be pretty to start, eh?
Yeah. And it was funny because that episode sounded pretty good that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the same. I think he mentioned, he doesn't know if people would notice or not. Probably people like me and you that do this sort of stuff would notice, but I don't think most people would notice, eh?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Unless, until he said.
He did a good post the other day, like what I'd do if I was to start a podcast again. Never haven't done podcasts. Is that I'd record 3. If I got to the end of recording 3, thought, I can publish that. I'll publish 1, 2, 3. Then I buy the lapel mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he said, then I do 100 episodes. And if I was still going, then I buy the podcast setup.
Yeah. Which back to what I was saying about the Ironman, a lot of people get caught up in the gear they need.
Yeah.
And I still get people messaging me now about like the videos I make and stuff, and they say like, which software do I need, or which mic should I buy? I'm going to start making videos. I was like, well, I didn't have a mic when I started. Yeah. I think you just got to jump in and start doing it, and eventually you'll get that stuff as you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't need all the equipment to start, eh?
Well, that's the thing about an iPhone, eh? They're
so versatile.
Or even the Samsungs. They're part of their sales features is that they're fit for purpose for blogging. I was saying like iOS now, I've just got the iPad there. iOS now, if we had enough PowerPoints, we could have jacked up, I think, 3 iPhones and had a multicam set up, and there's a software to go with iOS 18 that can do a video room.
Yeah, it's just crazy, eh? Like a lot of people ask what camera I use. I use my phone.
Yeah.
For everything that I film. I've actually got a camera. But I just find that the time it takes to set it up and everything, the results aren't that different than like a modern iPhone. Yeah. And I mean, it's just so easy. Like anywhere I go, I've got my phone on me. I can just take videos and use it for all sorts, eh?
Nice.
And it's just so versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's out of, I get quite a lot of DMs and sort of that sort of stuff these days. And it's all about a whole lot of different stuff, but it's like, how do I start training for my first Ironman? How do I start making videos? Which editing software do you use? And I think, so many people get caught up in that sort of stuff, eh?
You're in a cool place, Ollie, that you're close enough to the beginner. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and that's probably going to be the beauty of having the original stuff there. Hopefully, that the way the carousel's set up doesn't necessarily mean someone finding you will go to the bottom.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's sort of like the barrier to entry, isn't it? If you really want to know who I am, go to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, eh? If people really want to see how I started, you can.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom. Just go for a bit of a scroll. I think I'm like, 500 posts or something in now, but it won't take 10 seconds to get to the bottom, eh? If you can manage that.
No, it's cool. That's cool. So what are you consuming now? Like you said, now you got the job that starts early. Got to get those products out there, and then you've got your training, and then you've got your videos. Like, what are you able to consume yourself?
I think 15-minute drive to work. I've always got something in my ears.
Yep.
Even before that, I think my flatmates will be able to tell you I've just always got my AirPods in, eh?
Yeah.
Which, can be a little bit antisocial. I try to take them out and have a convo. But I just love listening to that stuff, eh? I can't get enough of it, eh? Just got so many different podcasts, and I got YouTube Premium the other month.
Yeah.
And I heard heaps of people say that it was real good. And I was like, I don't need to pay for YouTube. But it's been bloody good, eh? Just like get a big queue, chuck all these videos on your watch later and just hit play. Yeah. And then just, listen to them. And
no ads, no interruptions.
Yeah, and then, you can have your phone off, and still be listening.
Yeah.
No ads and stuff, and that's been good. But yeah, I'm listening to all sorts, so lately I've been listening to a lot of sort of like startup advice videos, which is a bit niche in a way because I'm not necessarily trying to start a startup style business, which they can be quite different in terms of, trying to raise capital and, starting with like, negative burn and all that sort of stuff, like,
And this is still largely American.
Yeah. But I really like the mindset of the way they go about the business. So that's kind of
Do the Poms have much? Like,
not that I've seen.
Diary of a CEO and old Williamson.
Yeah.
Well, they're not that Williamson's really...
Well, he's kind of all over the chart, I find.
Yeah.
Like, I like his stuff, but it's just very...
it's a content thing,
depends on who his guest is and kind of which way the convo goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas some I tune into and some I'm not so interested in.
Yeah.
But, I'm always listening to Keep the Change and then Alex Hormozy. I like his stuff.
Yep, yeah.
And then,
he has gyms, right? Is that his vibe?
Used to. He's just all acquisition now, so he's just acquiring stakes in different companies and pretty much just making them better.
And so when he acquires a stake, he goes and sits on the board, does he?
As far as I know, yep.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the actual operations.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty much just buying stakes in companies that are doing like 1 to 3 million and turning them into 10 million plus.
Cool.
Is his sort of basics.
Yeah.
But he's got some invaluable stuff on there, eh? Like, I think some of the stuff you can learn just by watching that sort of YouTube stuff is just, it's like a...
Did you study business at school, no?
I did, just business studies. I didn't do any economics or accounting. In hindsight, I would have quite liked to do economics because I'm quite interested in that sort of stuff now. Don't know too much about it, but find it interesting.
Would you go and do like Harvard lectures on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah. I listen to quite a lot of the Stanford have quite a lot of entrepreneurial stuff.
Yeah.
Harvard have a bit too. Like I think it's like Harvard Innovation Labs or something.
Cool. Yeah.
There's heaps of that sort of stuff. And when I started out, I didn't really like that sort of stuff because it's not flash. They've just got a camera in the back of a lecture room.
Yeah.
And when I started out, that would be boring. And you want to listen to the high energy podcasts and people stuff that's kind of like specifically trying to capture your attention.
Yeah.
But now I just love the information, and I listen to that sort of stuff. So I'd be making dinner and listening to like a lecture about some random business concept. Yeah. And I just find that really interesting.
Do you listen to Next as well?
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Not all of it. To be honest, but I mean that is all that sort of similar stuff, so probably would be a good one to listen to.
It's been very helpful.
Yeah.
Shout out to Phil and Lick. Like, as I said, I had that baseline, what is it, year 12 accounting baseline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I could get through an accounting 101.
Yeah. Now I think of it though, you're saying like when do I have time to consume stuff? I actually listen a lot when I'm running and cycling because the majority of your training for an event like an Ironman is done reasonably slowly.
Yeah.
You're not going out and trying to beat your PB every time you're running. Probably do that once a month or something.
Don't need the fast run playlist.
No, not often. Yeah. So quite often I'm listening to audiobooks and podcasts while I'm running because if I listen to music I run too fast.
Yep.
Like you just go with the rhythm.
Are you tracking your pace or?
Yep. Yeah. So I've got your Garmin so
watch. Just, nice.
Yeah, showing you all that sort of stats as you go, eh?
Yeah.
So if I listen to like audiobooks and podcasts, I kind of naturally slow down a bit, which is what I want to be doing in that training. So yeah. And then also you just got your headphones in when you're doing your groceries and meal prep and all that sort of stuff. So there's always time to consume stuff, eh?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I also liked hill running Tomato Peak.
Oh yeah.
It just like slowed me down.
Yeah.
Turned out it wasn't enough because we did like a nearly 1,000 meter mountain on my run, but it was still good to slow down and run a hill, and it's kind of, you get that sort of strength workout as well on a mountain.
Yeah, it's good for the legs there.
Yeah, it's good for the legs.
Yeah,
which they had a bit of yesterday. A few switchbacks through Whaliwaka. It was like, that's a bit gnarly in the course.
I saw that, because my initial plan when I was going to be running was to try run a PB half marathon because I haven't really attempted one.
Yeah.
Ever really. Like I think my fastest half marathon was a training run I did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of going at a reasonably cruisy pace, but it was just because I'd never really. Before that, my PB was in the half Ironman.
Yeah.
Which you think that's not the best conditions for a PB.
So how fast are you going for? 145, 130?
Yeah, sub 130.
Yeah, nice.
Was what I was sort of aiming for. But I mean, the half Ironman I did like a 147, I think.
Yeah, nice.
But I mean, my running's come a long way since done quite a lot of running this year. So
good runs. The ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. There's one Taupō, sort of like I think it's like Curatao maybe Kinloch. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
There's one like mid-October. There's an ultra, trail ultra.
Yeah.
That's what I've been eyeing up, eh?
Yeah, it's good.
So
I did the pacing for my mate. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Best 26Ks I've ever run. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was just really inspiring. Like, he comes along, what's that, 74Ks deep.
Yeah.
He met them at the checkpoint. He was in a little pod of people who had got themselves there, I guess.
Mm.
And then, they sort of had some food and mucked around, and I'm going like, well, when are we going to knock this last bit off?
Yeah.
And so then out of the aid station, I sort of jogged in front of them just to like get them moving again. And then, need to climb up to get up to the peninsula, and Paddy like jumped in front of me, so I was between him and the pack.
Yeah.
And then we had a few people in front of us, and he just must have got in his head, I'm going to like pick off all these people.
Yeah.
And then so once we got up onto the top, speaking of music, then we started hustling along in like 6-minute Ks.
Yeah.
And I because I had it on my phone, I don't have a watch, and I looked and I was like, oh yeah, we're 6 Ks deep.
Yeah.
And I looked again and it was still 6. And I was like, oh, hold on a minute. So we're going at 6-minute Ks. And
yeah.
Yeah, but we'd already gone through another aid station, so there was one to go, I think. And then it was home, and it was just like,
true.
Yeah, we're like, you've got this, man.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool, eh? I definitely want to do one of those ultras one day.
Yeah. And it's good about that one. Like, you can do 26K, you can do 50K.
Yeah.
You can do like 70 odd as well. Or you can go the whole 100.
Yeah, the same as the one I'm eyeing up, eh? I think there's like a half marathon, 70K and 100.
Yeah.
Which I was looking at the 70.
Yeah, nice.
I've done a few marathons now.
Nice.
But not quite ready for that 100, eh? That's the next level.
It's gnarly, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good like works, old man. I was like, oh, is your dad doing the marathon on Saturday? So, no, he's kind of stopped doing those. He rang me up the other day and said, oh, I got up at 3 a.m. and did 51Ks. Sweet dad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some people out there doing some pretty crook stuff, eh? When you look into it.
You don't peel the layer back too far, eh? Like,
yeah.
No one goes like Simon Cochrane or Ian Evans down in Wanaka, every Friday goes up Roy's Peak, and even in the snow like they did last week, you're like, fuck's sake, man. It's crook.
Yeah. But nah, it's pretty cool stuff going on, eh?
Oh, no, so cool.
What do I want to get into once I've sort of ticked off this Ironman, eh?
Have you seen that backyard rubbish?
I have. Yeah, there is some interesting stuff going on out there, eh? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents went for a walk at Woodend Beach the other day, and I was thinking, oh, that's that place they do the backyard in Christchurch. It's absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
They're going overnight, running around in circles in the forest.
Yeah, no, there's all sorts going on, eh?
Riverhead and golly.
But yeah, something for everyone, I suppose, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Do you have what's the purpose of business for you? Where do you want to end up? What's the 20-year lifetime goal?
I mean, I'll be honest, when I was younger, I just wanted to be rich, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of developed a bit now. I still like to, kind of build something behind myself, I suppose. But what I've kind of seen on my Instagram is it's got the potential to really help a lot of people, eh?
Yeah.
Even, I get some pretty cool messages now saying, the stuff you're putting out has kind of inspired me to do this, and I've kind of, used this framework from your podcast, and now I've been able to achieve this,
Shit,
and you kind of see some pretty cool results. And I think, I haven't quite nailed down which kind of direction that business would go, but it would be something similar to what I'm doing now in the in the Instagram sort of space. But I think kind of just, being able to build something that can really help people achieve some, stuff they never thought they'd do, because I think that's kind of how I've developed over the last wee while, is like doing the half Ironman, and that kind of, you do something you never thought you could do, and then you kind of opens up your eyes, eh? You see what's kind of out there.
Where'd the idea come to share it?
When I was training for the half Ironman, well, I suppose it kind of goes back to watching that Casey Neistat sort of stuff. I always wanted to kind of be making those videos, but I didn't know what I'd make them about. But then when I was kind of training for the half Ironman, I was trying to find videos of people that were kind of sharing how to do your first one. And I was looking up all these training videos, and there's all these guys that have been doing triathlons for the last 10 years saying, this is how you get faster or whatever. And I was like, I don't need to know how you get faster, I just need to know how to get it done. And I've never done a triathlon before. How do I do my first one?
Yeah.
which a lot of people, I mean, like 99% of the people that message me about like triathlons have never done one before. And that's exactly where I was, you know. I mean, there's a lot of people around that are pretty good at Ironmans and stuff, and I mean, maybe my content's not for them, so be it. I mean, even saying that, I kind of want to divert a little bit away from just the Ironman sort of stuff, which I've been doing recently. You know, kind of a bit more mindset and that sort of thing. But I mean, originally how it started was all sort of Ironman stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just purely from that basis of, you know, no one's making anything about, you know, how to start. Yeah.
Is it creative outlet? Are you creative anywhere else, or were creative anywhere else?
I suppose the only sort of creative stuff I've done when I was younger was sort of, you know, making videos, and that. I was never really into art or music or anything like that, you know, but nah, definitely as a creative outlet, I suppose I've kind of, the more I've done it, the more I've kind of, you know, been able to do some pretty cool stuff editing wise and that, so yeah, it's definitely yeah, creative outlet.
What are your journaling prompts?
They're kind of different, eh? I often would be like listening to a podcast or something, and you know, you might hear like an uncomfortable sort of, you know, someone saying, I can't think of one of those off the top of my head, but you know, someone sort of saying something quite confronting that makes you kind of think, you know, something about a limiting belief or something. So often in what I'd kind of write about would just be kind of hearing, you know, something that I know is right that I'm kind of not doing myself, and then kind of exploring, you know, why am I doing that, or you know, how could I kind of start moving towards that sort of direction.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a prompt every day per se.
Are you doing it, or trying to do it every day?
Yeah, I have. Ever since I moved to Auckland, I've done it every day.
Nice.
Before that, I was kind of on and off.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of thought, you know, fresh start would be a good habit to kind of get into. And it's it's invaluable, eh?
Yeah.
I used to think it was just stupid. You know, I don't want to fucking write a diary. You know, like that's. But it's not like that, eh?
No.
There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I started after I'd finished uni.
Yeah.
I started then. It was pretty ad hoc. And then, but like Luke was saying with the pen, you know, like started investing in a nice journal.
Yeah.
And then, so then you want to write in it.
Yeah.
And then I do get a little bit like him with the pen, like, well, then you want to write it with a nice pen.
Yeah.
And Tim Ferriss has sort of some prompts in Tools of Titan, so maybe even in Tribe Mentors as well. Yeah. And so I started adapting those a little bit and listening to him, and so, but then I'd still sort of do it ad hoc. I started, a good way for me to do it was take it to work and sometime in the morning write it. Yeah. But even then I'd miss a day, and then of course I'd be leaving it at work and not do it on the weekend, things like that. So this year, when I was in Australia at the gym, they had Stoic journal. Oh yeah. Not the Stoic journal, Daily Stoic. Yeah. Book at the gym. So when I do my warm up, I'd be on the air and read the page for the day. Yeah. And that started my way of starting to write, was to get a quote. Yeah. Yeah. And then write my little prompts, and then go from there. So then finally this year I bought Stoic Journal. Yeah. And that's been quite good. Been able to do it every day. This year. So where are we up to? We're up to August, and every day's got something in there. So
that's good.
It's been good. It's been quite interesting having journaled for so long, and having been prompted from Ryan Holiday's quotes and considerations in the past, to then go through the Stoic Journal to look at the prompts that they've got and go, oh, I've dealt with this. Yeah. It's quite insidious, again, like over time, how the journaling impacts your life. Like you say, when you get like a limiting belief that you kind of write down and think about, to then that scenario or that belief or that wall that you run into show up in life, you kind of deal with it better. Yeah. Have you found that? 100%. And you found you've like extended the time of your reaction time to stuff. Yeah, definitely. Kind of just being more aware of kind of stuff like that that's going on and things that are repeating. Yeah. But yeah, like you say, you kind of can deal with something in one situation, and then you might, have a bit of foresight now to kind of see, oh, this is quite similar to what that was like back then. Yeah. Sort of thing. I think, just kind of being more aware of kind of what's going on in your head. Have you done any meditation as well?
Not really. A little bit.
Yeah.
But nothing major.
Yeah, definitely at the moment not consistent with that at all. Like not even Wim Hof breathing. I did it for the first time the other day. And again, it's just those like consistent meditation or consistent Wim Hof, consistent journaling. It just opens up that. It's like drives a wedge in for the moment something happens, and then how you deal with it. Like, gives you more time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of, I'm at the point where I haven't got too much spare time, and like I'm thinking kind of what are the basic things I can do that get some good results. And like you say, I got the daily stoic. So before I go to bed, I'll read that day, write the journal, and read a book for 20 minutes, and then go to sleep. But I mean, I think even just doing something pretty basic like that give you some pretty good results.
Absolutely.
And obviously, you could dive into it deeper and do your meditation and all that sort of stuff, and it would be better. But I think it's sort of the 80-20.
Diminishing returns, as well.
Yeah, sort of the 80-20, doing just those basic things can get you some pretty good results. You could optimise it, but I mean, that will come with time.
What do you read for? Knowledge or entertainment? Or?
Nah, knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been a fiction guy,
Yeah.
It's all non-fiction. I used to read a lot of autobiographies, which I still do now, but also just self-help sort of stuff. At the moment, I'm reading book about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. I don't know, I find that sort of stuff really interesting. Favorite book I've ever read actually is the book about Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson.
Cool.
Kind of just seeing
so it's a biography.
Yeah. So kind of just seeing how those sort of companies, and they start from the ground up. They start from day one.
Yeah.
They multi-billion dollar companies now.
They got more money than some countries.
Yeah, but I mean, 50 years ago, however long they were operating in a garage, like all that stuff starts somewhere. So I find it pretty interesting to kind of read those stories and hear about how that stuff sort of starts and their mindset, getting go from the ground up.
Well, like just look here, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, how many Apple devices are in this room,
so, Yeah, 3.
Yeah, that's crazy,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just an example of sort of stuff I'm reading. But yeah, most of it's sort of similar to that. When I was younger, I was real big on sports autobiographies. I remember first one I got was Sachin Tendulkar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I remember I got that when I was like, I don't know, maybe 14 or something.
Yeah.
And I read it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I love it when people say they want to be a cricketer or an all black, or any sport. I'm just like, should you?
Yeah.
Go do that.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's kind of what I've kind of grown to appreciate over the last wee while. Kind of given a pretty fair crack at this sort of Ironman and content creation sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, kind of giving it everything and seeing the results you can get. As I really appreciate those guys that kind of they want to be an all black and they really go for it.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of people that say, oh, he won't be an all black or whatever. I suppose like Ruben Love we talked about before could be a good example. I saw the hard work that's gone on. Well, I saw a really small portion of the hard work that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And to see that sort of stuff come to fruition,
That's what's been cool about the Olympics now at 35. Like, so, they talk about like inner child or whatever. Like, remembering what it's like to have heroes. I just think it's so good to allow yourself heroes.
Yeah.
Like, I saw Rich McCaw speaking for Westpac the other day. I'm like, that guy's like, he's still my like idol. He's only like 10 years older than me, or not even that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but he's fucking awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of the stuff he's been able to do,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably that sort of tall poppy syndrome's quite prevalent.
Still around, eh?
Yeah.
It's getting better.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. But still a long way to go,
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, full credit to anyone that's out there giving stuff a crack, when you kind of do it yourself, you kind of see how dedicated and how hard it can be.
Yeah.
So now full respect for that sort of stuff,
Nice.
Really enjoy that.
An ice bathing?
Yeah.
How deep? How connected to that are you?
Every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been a bit unwell the last couple of weeks, so kind of put a bit of a pause on it.
Yeah, I did. I was going to go to that sip and dip yesterday, and then Friday night was pretty coffee. I was like,
yeah,
probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah. No, so I've been a bit unwell, so I was just kind of put it on pause for a little bit.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones that you want to be doing to prevent getting unwell.
Yeah.
Not doing to try. You might wake out, and it's like running your cold off. It's not always the best idea.
Yeah. But yeah, lucky enough that through Instagram had a company that reached out and sent it to me, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing it every morning. First thing, wake up at 4:45 to get to work at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So wake up at 4:45. It's a pretty good way to get yourself going, when you're a bit tired, jump in the ice bar.
And saying that, like, not going to the dip in the lake, far out with the frost, you'd say, wanting to turn the shower on here, and crikey, so I did a little squeal in the shower.
Yeah. But you do acclimatise to it, though, eh?
A lot of the time.
Not always.
Sometimes you get -4 frost, and you soon go, yep, that's cold.
It's definitely a bit colder down these ways than it is up in Auckland. I found that out, even compared to Palmy,
Yeah.
Seems like Auckland's always at least a few degrees warmer, and don't get those kind of cold nights.
Yeah, I remember first term holidays going down south, and then coming back to Auckland and wearing too many clothes getting off the plane.
Yeah, you can fall into that trap, eh? Yeah, and that's good.
Nice, Ollie. Appreciate you coming down. You messaged me a few weeks ago, said I'm going to be in Taupō.
Yeah.
Obviously you didn't end up doing the running, but you're in the area as well, so we've got this done, which is cool.
Yeah.
Where do people find you, buddy?
Instagram is Ollie_Ferguson_.
Nice.
A little bit niggly there.
I'll have it linked, so you just need to go into the show notes and tap it.
Yeah.
It'll take you straight there.
Sweet. So you got that. Also got the Goal Getters podcast.
Nice.
That's just on Spotify. But yeah, you'll be able to find all that sort of stuff through my Instagram page.
Yeah. Are you going to be at the meet and greet for Keep the Change?
Yeah.
You were one of the people?
Yeah, I'm one of the, 250 plus now, is it?
It's outstanding effort.
Yeah.
It was also going to happen. He knew it was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pretty good community going on there, eh? So,
it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool to get along and see a few familiar faces and meet a few more, hopefully. So yeah, it'll be bloody good.
Nice. Have you ever contemplated this, Ollie? You definitely need it when you're on a Ironman. What keeps you in flow, mate?
Oh, that's a good question. What keeps me in flow? You mean like in terms of like your routine and that, or?
Yeah, do you have like a mantra or a routine, a way you live your life, a quote?
I suppose the way I live my life, that is a good one, eh? Never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. Another way of looking at it is like, if you're living this, good things are happening, or if you're in a bad place, if you call on this, it'll redirect you, like sort of bump you back on track.
Nice, yeah, it's a good way of looking at it, eh?
Yeah.
Probably not so much a quote, but way I like going about things. I always just like kind of giving stuff a crack, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Always working towards something. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like being productive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of can't stand just doing nothing, eh? Like I'm one of those active relaxers, I suppose. Even if I've got nothing to do, even if I'm on holiday, I'll be up and about and going for a run and going and do different stuff. So I always like having something to do, which is pretty cool. I suppose having this sort of Instagram stuff is there's always something to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
But I'm always just keen to get out there and get something done, eh?
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever had times in your life when you haven't had something to do? I don't know, back to algorithms and TikTok being weird. All of a sudden I got this guy in his early 30s the other day pop up, and he was kind of like, I'm in my early 30s and I don't know what I've achieved or what I want to do or where I want to go. And I sort of threw at him basically the Jordan Peterson stuff, like, are you in a relationship? Do you have close friends?
Yeah.
And he said yes and yes. So I was like, okay, well, if you're going to start a community of people doing shit, keep doing that. Like, that must be your purpose. But have you ever had those moments of like, fuck, what am I doing?
Not probably to that extent.
Yeah.
But I remember like sort of before I started this Instagram and that, I was quite keen to kind of get into a bit of a project, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like a business, I suppose. I know this isn't a business yet, but it's kind of trending in that direction. But I was kind of searching for what I wanted to do in that space. But I was still doing a bit of, study behind the scenes and kind of, learning a bit about it, even though I wasn't kind of too sure what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that sort of time is sort of, what I, kind of what do I want to be working on sort of thing. But I mean, even I go back when I was younger, when I was at school, I always had, multiple jobs on the go. And, I remember my, probably my year 13 kind of after school schedule was go to work from like, I don't know, 3:30 till till 8 or something, and then I'd go to the gym with one of my mates, and then I'd go around to his house after and have a spa.
Yeah.
You know, you get home at like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock, and then do a little bit of homework, and then rinse and repeat, you know. It was always this full noise, eh? I just couldn't have it any other way.
I love it. That 9 o'clock realm as a teenage boy, eh? We used to have our water polo game at 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
And then also with school football, we started playing night games.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. It was most ideal.
Yeah.
At 17, 18-year-old, 9 o'clock, you'd hissing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm still young now. I'm only 21, but already I need more sleep than I used to, eh? When I was 17, 18, it was just, you know, you'd get home even at, 11 o'clock, do like some homework for a couple of hours, go to sleep at 1, wake up at 6:30, and I was just good to go.
Full noise.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit more sleep these days doing the Ironman training and that, you kind of need it, but it's good, eh?
Definitely do. Awesome, Ollie. This has been brilliant. Thanks,
Sweet.
mate.
No, thanks a lot for having me, eh?
Cheers.
Sweet.